Okay, hi, this is MK. So if there's anything that I've learned over the past few years, it's that the story the mainstream media runs with, the official, publicly accepted story, is usually nothing more than the story they want you to know, and that there is always more beneath the surface. So this is what I wanted to bring you, Chris Benoit. And if you're watching this, it's probably because you've searched for Chris Benoit and this popped up, and hello, thank you for watching and hearing me out. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that. If you don't know who Chris Benoit is and you don't know what I'm talking about, the Wikipedia page is on the screen right now, and I will leave a link in the description box down below. And so, with that out of the way, let's take a closer look at the Benoit family murder-suicide. I have a great imagination. Let me just start out with that. I have always been interested in things that seem a little unexplainable or a little off or a little strange, and I have a degree in psychology. I like to think, maybe not about necessarily what did happen, but about what could have happened or what might have happened if you just take a minute to look at something from a different perspective. So there was an episode of The Dark Side of the Ring that got some attention recently. Again, there's your official story, the story that they bring to the public that they want you to hear. And I will put a link to the Dark Side of the Ring episode in the description box below. Okay, so I'm going to just start going through the information and we'll get through it a little bit at a time because there's a lot that I want to get through. And what I noticed is when I was trying to find factual information, it just always seemed that I could find just the same story, just told in a slightly different way. And they weren't exactly answering my questions. Another thing that I noticed was that a lot of YouTube videos and blogs would claim to know exactly what was in the police report and in the autopsy report, which is cool because I'm going to claim that too. The difference is I'm going to actually show it to you because I have it. I have a digital copy of it. I'm going to go through this story and weave in other things that have maybe something to do with this, maybe not. I also want to point out when I say that these places, I don't see them showing the actual police report, I'm not counting any published biographer or published crime investigation storybook or whatever, because I don't know. I tend to skip over more mainstream sources like that. I like to get the information myself and sort of read through it and come to my own conclusions, and I'll take anybody else's conclusions into consideration, and I just ask that you allow me to do the same. I'm old enough to remember the O.J. Simpson murder trial, and I remember everybody knew that dude was guilty. Everybody knew it. But still, he had his right to a fair trial. The guy had an entire dream team of lawyers to represent him in front of a jury of his peers. They tried their best to cast reasonable doubt on the evidence that the prosecution was presenting. And it was a whole show, man. I remember it. There was Robert Kardashian, who was one of O.J. Simpson's dream team lawyers. And if you recognize that name, yes, he is the father of those famous Kardashian sisters. Although in the mid-90s of this O.J. Simpson trial, they were younger, they were not famous yet. And I do think it would be fun to mention that there is a rumor that O.J. Simpson is the father of Robert Kardashian's youngest daughter, Khloe. But yeah, please be aware that's just a rumor. But anyways, O.J. Simpson trial, it was a show. And when I say show, I literally mean a show. This was Marcia Clark. This was one of the prosecutors during the O.J. trial, and she was actually given a makeover so she would be more appealing to the public. When this trial began, Marcia Clark looked like she does in the left part of this picture, and about a week or so into the trial, she showed up in court one day looking like she does on the right. And then after the whole trial, when it was all said and done, of course, O.J. Simpson found not guilty. And after that, he wasn't exactly as well liked as he had been, but at least the guy had a life, and he still has his legacy. He had this air of infamy around him that sort of made him kind of cool, even though, But then, if you didn't know, eventually he was found guilty for an unrelated crime and did spend time in jail. But just comparing O.J. Simpson and Chris Benoit, these two men in a sort of similar situation. One man lives, one man commits suicide, allegedly, and one man gets a right to a fair trial and is today still somewhat accepted public figure. But it's not the same for Chris Benoit. Why? Because he died. Does that forfeit innocent until proven guilty, and instead the verdict is just whatever the so-called experts say it is? And instead of a trial, the media could just push the story that Chris Benoit was guilty. He's guilty, clearly he's guilty. The story was plastered all over the news, like they do, and then gone. And they want to strike this story out of existence. Man, it just seems like these people right here, these guys here, want to pretend like he never existed. So I have a lot of things that I want to say about that, but if you haven't already guessed, I'm not so sure this story is so cut and dry. And I'm going to try to show you why I think that. Like I said, I'm going to open up the real police files here. I'm going to go through it piece by piece. There's a lot to this. Let me just make it clear again. What I'm about to go into here, I'm using my imagination. Are we clear? Because we are going to get into this, and I am not only going to look at the people involved in this murder-suicide, the Benoit family, and not just looking closer at some other wrestlers and the WWE itself and some strange things around that, but I'm also gonna look closer at the players involved in Fayetteville, Georgia, where the Benoit family lived and where this murder-suicide took place. And I'm also going to look closer at the coroner, the medical examiner, and also at the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. Maybe there's some hints of corruption. I don't know, if they're corrupt in one way. We'll get into that one thing at a time. Okay, so the first step that I took in looking into this was filing a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act request. So from other research that I have been doing, I do know how to file a FOIA request. I have done it before, and I do understand that the very first thing that you should do is check to make sure that nobody else already filed a FOIA requesting the same information. I did a search, and I did come across this muckrock.com. He's saying, pursuant to the Georgia Open Records Act, I hereby request the following records, police reports, investigation summaries, and all other relevant records pertaining to the 2007 murder-suicide of Nancy Benoit, Chris Benoit, and their son. He does go on to say that these requested documents will be made available to the general public. So me sharing this information in this file is not going against anything that wasn't already agreed upon in this original request. So you can read the rest of the letter here, and then here is the response. And as you can see, there is a zip file attached, and I will show you everything. Okay, so when I extract the zip file, these are the documents that I get, or the files that come out. I'm not very techie, so I don't know the right words. Just this is the shit that's in the zip file. Okay, so I know that this file right here says Crime Scene Photos Part 2, and if you'll notice, there is nothing that says Crime Scene Photos Part 1. I have lots of questions about that, but we'll get into that as we get there. I'm going to start from the beginning, and this is the letter that was sent to Edward Stairs, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, from this Muckrock News, which I just showed you. And he's telling him here enclosed, please find the records. And then we have 2 files here. They kind of have the same things in them, and you'll see that as we go through here. But we're going to open this one up, because as we go through this, I'm going to need to do some highlighting and circling and things. So what I did here, I took this file, and then I can open it in books. Here I can do some shit like that and sort of highlight what I'm talking about. And I do want to point out that redactions and omissions have been made, but as you'll see, it's really not that bad. So let's take a look at the incident report. And it's the Fayette County Sheriff's Department Family Violence Report. You can see here the date and time right here. Homicide. And it's marked as domestic violence. And then here's the names and the address. He was 40 years old. You numbers and gematria people, if you want to check out the numbers here, see if you can come up with anything cool with that. Any little bit of anything helps when we're using our imaginations. Down here at the bottom, we have some other names, and we'll see who those people are as we get further into it. And I'm not sure even how to blur out these phone numbers. Look, people, this was an incident that happened in 2007. If you seriously think these phone numbers are still relevant to anything here, I doubt that they are, and just let it go. Leave people alone. So here we have the name of the reporting officer, Donna Mundy, who responded to a welfare check, which was later determined to be multiple deaths. And then now we have Sheriff's Department Supplement Case Report. So it's gonna really get into it here. As you can see up here in the top right, we've got like 464 pages to get through. So clearly this is not all going to be in one complete video. There's no way I would ask anybody to sit through 3 to 4 hours, if not more, of this voice reading about murders and suicides. So don't worry, folks. I'm splitting it up for you. If you like what you see here, I hope that you'll come back and check out what more I have to say. And you're going to see it right off the bat. The absurdity starts now. We are looking at the supplement case report on Monday, June 25th, 2007, at approximately 2:39 p.m. Responded to a welfare check. I advised dispatch I was unable to enter the property due to the auto gate and 2 large canines. What? Dispatch checked to find a neighbor that could take control of the canines. I mean, what the hell? Why didn't the police call a canine unit to take care of the canines? Why are the police getting a neighbor involved when they don't even know what they're going to find in the house? Holly Sherriper, the neighbor. She was able to access the property and place the canines in a cage. So wait, what? They let this neighbor access the property before any police, when they knew they were there for a welfare check. They had no idea what they were going to find inside this home, and apparently they didn't mind placing the neighbor in any kind of danger. Or were they trying to contaminate a crime scene? So, I mean, as you can see, I've barely scratched the surface, and shit already stinks. So now the neighbor was the first one to enter the house. And after she exits the home, she informs the police that she found dead bodies inside the home. So now that the police have successfully traumatized the neighbor and contaminated a crime scene, now the cops can go into the residence. Great, you guys went in, but you went into an already contaminated scene. Because you just allowed the neighbor to access the property and place the dogs in a cage. I mean, it's right here. Am I not reading that right? It's right there. Who did dispatch check with? They're just calling around neighbors? How'd they get the numbers? I mean, I'm just asking questions. I'm not an expert on all of this stuff. So after all this right here, which is just absurd, it wasn't just like, hey, these guys haven't heard from him. It's a welfare check when he hasn't shown up for matches. He missed a pay-per-view event where he was supposed to win the belt, a championship title. Clearly something was wrong. They knew this. This was why the police were going there to respond to this welfare check. So knowing all this, why would you let the neighbor access the damn property? See how we're already playing this game? We've barely dipped our toe in the water. The report goes on saying a juvenile was located in the upstairs right bedroom, lying on the bed face down. Female was located in the family room on the main floor, lying on the floor. Male was located in the basement weight room, sitting in an upright position. After the residence was cleared, CID stands for Criminal Investigation Division, they were notified and responded to the scene along with crime scene. Fayette County coroner was also notified. And now this is the part that really gets me, because after all of that, it says right here, 2 canines and several small kittens were turned over to animal control. I mean, why didn't they just call animal control first, right? I mean, is it me? Or is something already smelling rotten in Fayetteville? We'll see, because there's more, the police reports get more into detail further down here. Okay, so I'm gonna end this one here because it's about to get into a lot more detail. We have a ways to go. If you've watched this far, thank you so much. I can't tell you how much that means to me. Please do me a favor, give me a thumbs up if you found this even a little bit interesting, and please share with anyone you think might enjoy. It will really help my little channel grow. And please subscribe. I will be doing more videos on other topics, so if wrestling and murder isn't your thing, please check back to see what else may be coming in the future. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to what I have to say, and I hope you have a really great day. Oh, and one other thing. Ric Flair, what's up, buddy? I just want to say, if you're listening and you have anything that you'd like to add to this, hey, here's your perfect opportunity, and I'm listening.